morning and a warm welcome to this information webinar on a participant's journey in the EJTN Exchange Program 2024. I am Aude Magin. I'm the head of the Exchange Program Unit at EJTN. And this morning, together with my colleague Camille Duret and Arlette Lamère, we will be presenting you the EJTN Exchange Program, and most importantly, we will we will be together for 2 hours, and we will be giving you important information on the organization of the exchanges in 2024. Note that this info session is recorded. This is for you in case you are not able to attend the whole webinar. We will be sending out a link to the video after the webinar so that you can have a look, and also if you want to see again what we've been discussing this morning. So without further ado, let's embark on this journey together, and let's start. So here are the housekeeping rules. This is a listen-only mode webinar. That means that you are not able to take the floor, and the chat is disabled. But of course, the whole point of this webinar is to give you information, but also to answer to your questions, so you have some. So for this, please use the Q&A functionality at the bottom of your screen. You see it here, and you may ask your questions throughout the whole webinar, or also at the end. We will have this Q&A session at the very end of the webinar, probably about half an hour, maybe a bit more. But so you are free to ask the questions during the webinar while we speak, or at the end of it. But we will address all of the questions together at the end. So what we'll be talking about this morning with you. First of all, we will talk about the actors, who is doing what in the exchange program. Then we will have a look at the financial conditions. We will talk about what's happening before the exchange, what is required from all of the actors, what is happening after the exchange, and of course, at the end, we will have a wrap-up session and give you important information about what you have to take back home, and we will have this Q&A session I was just mentioning before. What we will not be talking about, what we will not be talking about is information about the host countries, the dates of the exchanges, the agendas, and the venues. All this information is information that is provided to you by your host country, by your national contact point. This is information that we don't have here at the Secretariat, at least not at this stage. Now, a bit of information about what is the exchange program, if some of you don't know about it yet. What is the exchange program? It's the EJTN flagship activity. It's been launched in 2005 upon the initiative of the European Parliament. And it was launched to build mutual trust between the judicial systems of the EU member states. And it was a mutual understanding and mutual trust by observing the judicial systems of the other EU member states. It is addressed to the target audience of EJTN, that is to say, judges, prosecutors, judicial trainers, and court and prosecution staff. It is a very practice-oriented training because it's all about going to another country, observing the judicial system in practice, meeting the peers, and exchanging best practices with colleagues from other countries. There are various formats also in these exchanges. And since 2025, we've had almost 30,000 participants. And of course, it is available in nearly all EU member states, and also for judges and prosecutors from all EU member states. Some highlights from 2023. So every year we have, last year we had 3,486 participants. This is pretty much what we have every year. You see 32 countries. I mentioned before 27. I mean, that was for judges and prosecutors from the EU member states. We also have judges and prosecutors from the UK, and we also have some judges and prosecutors from Western Balkan countries. So that explains the difference with the number of member states. And then we have altogether we had last year 721 activities. By activities, we mean exchanges. We also have under the exchange program long-term training periods. We have also study visits. So amongst the 721 activities, we also had 17 study visits. And now I will pass the floor to my colleague, Arlette, who will tell you more about the exchange program activities.
Thank you, Aude. So I will give you more details about the exchange program activities. We have four main types of activities. The first one is the long-term training period, which offers several months of placement in EU institutions, such as the CGEU. The second one is the study visit, which offers several days of activity in the EU institution or an international institution, such as the Council of EU. And the third one is the project-based exchange, where the applicant has to submit a project when applying. For your information, the judiciary learning grant and the regional exchange are currently open. And the last one is the exchange, and today's session will cover only the exchange. So in the exchange, there are four categories of exchange. You have the general exchange, the specialized exchange, the judicial leaders exchange, and the trainers exchange. They can be in two different formats, in individual or in group. And we have also two different lengths, 1 week, which means 3 to 5 working days, and 2 weeks, which means 10 working days. So now we are going to focus on the different actors in the exchange activities. You will see that the participant is at the center of the exchange. The first actor are the exchange program team, which means us. You have the participant, of course, you, and the national contact point and the tutor. Sometimes the national contact point and the tutor can be the same person. So the first actor is us, the exchange program team. We are your contact point for administrative and financial issue. We make the liaison between the different actors, and we make sure that the participants have fulfilled their pre and post activity requirement. And at the end of the year, we issue certificate of attendance. And you can always contact us in case of any issue, doubt, or questions. So now the contact points. He is the coordinator of the exchange in host country or institution. He has to make contact with the hosted participant, and he gives you information about the venue of the exchange. The tutor is the last actor. So he's the local host of the exchange. He has to organize the exchange and draft the agenda. He shares the agenda with you, so with the participants, and if needed, he can also issue a certificate of attendance. Now, the participants. So you must carefully read the financial condition. You have also to submit registration and reimbursement form in due time. This is very important if you want to receive the reimbursement in due time. You have also to submit every document in due time. And you have to be fully aware that allocation to an exchange is binding. And you must attend the whole program of the exchange. And you are responsible for all the booking, which means that the tutor or the NCP can provide some suggestion, but you are responsible for the booking. So the participants also have to check with their employer that they will remain covered during the whole training period in terms of insurance. You are the ambassador for the sending country's judicial system, and you have to share with judges, prosecutor, or court staff of the host court knowledge about your own judicial system. So it's very important to remember that you are an ambassador when you do the exchange program, an exchange program. And now the financial condition. I will give the floor to my colleague, Candy.
Thank you, Arlette. So maybe what interests most of you today
what are the financial conditions and how you can get the reimbursement linked to the exchange. Just to remind you that you receive a link within your invitation email telling you where you can find the financial condition. Being noted that for this year, we've merged together all the financial conditions for 1 week and 2 week exchanges, which means that you all refer to the same document. No need to ask if any doubt. There is only one document circulating and you can find it on the EGTN website. When you go to continuous training, you can select exchanges and then continue navigating until you find your type of exchange, for instance, general exchange, and you can have the link to the financial condition. It is also so in your invitation email, and you will also receive it in the follow-up email after this webinar. So you are sure, please read them because this is the lifeline and what will justify the participation in the exchange. As Arlette mentioned, there are 2 lengths of exchange, and today there are participants for both lengths. So please refer to the length that is indicated in your invitation email, because this is on this basis that you will be reimbursed by EGTN. In case of discrepancy, if you think something is wrong, if you receive an information for one length for 2 weeks, for instance, whereas you were allocated to a 1 week exchange, please come back to us, because in the end, this information is crucial on the way we will calculate your financement. Here, we're gonna first talk about the financial condition for 3 to 5 working days, also called 1 week exchanges. Sometimes it means exactly the same. It's the same rule, just we make a distinction for those who are only staying for 3 days. The reimbursement is made only by one payment after the exchange, no prepayment for this type of exchange, and you are reimbursed your transport on real cost up to 500 euros. This means that you will see later, at the end of your exchange, you will need to submit your ticket and the invoice linked to your transport to make sure that we reimburse the exact amount. If your transport is more expensive than 500, this is the ceiling, we will not reimburse more. Either, I already jumped to the next point, an exception can be requested if you can justify why you are overpassing this ceiling. The rest of the expenses will be covered by the per diem, which is a lump sum of money that is paid for each day where you attend the exchange. This is a fixed amount. You don't have to submit anything, no need for a receipt for meal, no need for hotel. You will automatically receive a per diem depending on the number of days you stayed at the exchange. Here, I can also mention that in the request, in the exception form, there is still a provision in case you can prove that the per diem is not sufficient. We can give you a small additional amount of money, but you have to prove that you are in a need for this additional per diem. Otherwise, it is a fixed amount. And worth being noted that it was not the case in the past, but since 2 years now, all documents must be uploaded on the website. There is no need to send us anything by post. I am now moving to the financial condition for 10 working days, also called 2 weeks exchanges. Here it's slightly different because it's through the weeks. It's a lot of money to advance on your side. So EGTN will make a prepayment of the per diem before your exchange, which is usually 2 weeks before the exchange, upon reception of your registration in due time. Of course, if you register 1 week before, you cannot expect us to give you a prepayment within 2 days. So be careful with this registration if you're 2 weeks, if you want to receive your prepayment on time. You usually receive around 70% of the expected per diem, and the last 30% are paid after the exchange, after the completion of the post-activity requirements. We'll talk about that later. And with possible deduction in case in the end it happens that you did not attend the full period, we of course have to remove the per diem from this period. As mentioned, no transport cost reimbursed. You only receive a per diem, which is higher than the per diem for 1 week exchange, which is also paid during the weekend between the 2 weeks, but we do not reimburse the transport. So it's a good news for you in the end, because you, contrary to the 1 week exchanges, you are free to decide on your transport. You can arrive
whenever you want, because we will not ask for the price or justification. However, please keep your documents safe on your computer. You make a copy, you keep them in a folder on your desk, I don't know. But EGTN is notably working with EU funds. We have strict audits. We have several audits per year. So it happens that we have to request to you the documents afterwards. So please keep them safe, always better. And here also, exception can be requested if needed. Of course, no exception on the transport cost since we don't reimburse it. This year, we have also created a FAQ for all EGTN activities, not only exchanges, that can be found on the EGTN website. So on the side, you have an FAQ section. And there, in this section, you have the most frequent question that we receive about calculation per diem. What if I want to arrive a day earlier? What if I want to travel to another city? This kind of question are quite common, to be honest, and they are in this FAQ. So it also gives you a hand. And of course, please always send an email to Exchange Program if you have any question very specific where you cannot find the reply in this document. I will now switch to other information that will be helpful for you before the exchange. So this is the step we are today and you are today. You must have been contacted by someone, either the national contact point, either the tutor of the country that you will be visiting this year. We know that for some of you, there are still liaising that has to be made. We know also that there are still questions that has been sent to us that have not been replied yet, and I'm sorry about that, but we will come back to you shortly. Is at this stage, if you have still not been contacted, this is a bit problematic, so please come back to us and we will force the liaising with the contact point, because there might be problem of email not received or technical issue, so please come back to us if you don't have the liaising. But for now, I would say that nearly all of you received the contact, so good. We can now move to the next step, what you need to know before starting your exchange. First thing worth mentioning is that you must receive before the exchange a program. Before does not mean 4 months before. You can imagine it's very complicated, but if you start your exchange on Monday, it is quite assumed that you receive a program the week before. So you know a bit what to expect, the location where you will be. And worth mentioning also that it's also for individual exchange. Even if you're with a local tutor that maybe is a bit, it's chiller in the way of organizing the exchange, we need a written program that you can draft together. This is not an issue, but the activity that you took part in must be written down, because it will be requested after the exchange. It would be nicer to receive it before, so insist on that with your tutor. Please also pay attention to the financial condition of EGTN, because there are some things with the start time and the calculation of per diem, so please have a look, and so you're not surprised afterwards by the small hints that can be in this calculation. Finally, maybe some of you attended the exchanges during COVID time where there was strict confirmation system. Not anymore. Now we consider that as soon as you are fully agree with your host about the dates of exchange, you can make your bookings. There is no period where to do the bookings, and ideally you will be asked to register when you're doing your bookings, because your dates of arrival, departure date will be requested. But from now, if you already have a date in September, completely confirmed by your host, you can make your bookings. To give you a bit of information also and support to organize your exchange, we've just released a new guideline for exchanges. In those guidelines, so you have a bit of reminder about the actors that are presented to be clear about who is doing what. You also have the objectives of the exchange, because you know that it's nice to travel, but this remains a professional training activity that is linked to objectives, and you will receive a survey after the exchange to see if those objectives are met. So worth that you have a look at those objectives and make sure that the exchange and the program are reflecting those objectives. And last, but maybe not least, interesting in this guideline is best practices and ideas of activities that you can add in your exchange. When you're in a group exchange, usually the tutor takes care of the whole organization. Your input is limited. But for individual exchange, for instance, when the tutor asks, what do you want to do? What do you want to visit in the country? In the guideline, we give you ideas of judicial activities to include in this program. Talking about the program, we also very recently developed a template of program, notably for individual exchanges, to explain to you a bit what is expected in an exchange. This has not been shared yet. It will be in the follow-up email. It's really a template to support. If your host country gives you another template, it's completely fine. Here, it's really for, notably for tutor individual exchange, when you need a bit of help. What am I supposed to do as an EJTN tutor? This is the information that you will need to indicate in the agenda. Here also, let's mention the fact that it must include judicial activities, social activities or cultural activities can be also part of the exchange, but most of the exchange must be judicial activities during the workday, and also mentioning that the program and activities must be presented every day for a workday. So it's not you meet your tutor on Monday and then do whatever you want. Activities must be planned every day of the exchange and for a decent workday. We're not stating any limited time. Every tutor may also have work to do, but reasonably working a working session during the day. This and cultural activity, of course, you can do it afterwards. Yeah, try not to be in the agenda. Visit to museums. Sorry, if you can do that when you travel abroad, it might not be a judicial activity. And why we're insisting on that, once again, because the agenda has to be uploaded after the exchange in your reimbursement area. Anyway, your reimbursement will block if you do not upload the agenda, so keep it in mind, please. And I will now leave the floor to my colleague Aude to give you more information about the registration step.
Thank you, Camille. So as Camille explained to you, at some point will receive information from your tutor, or you will agree with your tutor on the days of the exchanges. So once you have and the place of the exchange, once you have all this information, you are ready to register your participation. You are also ready when you receive the link. The link has not been sent to you yet. It will be sent by us, by the exchange program team, and it will be sent to everyone by mid-April. It is a unique link that will be sent from our generic, that is automatically sent by our system. So it's the no reply at ejtn.eu. And it's unique in the sense that it's a link that is individual. It's not, cannot be shared to others. In the registration, you will have to provide information about the dates of the exchanges, about your arrival, departure dates, and also, most importantly, the banking details, because this is at this stage that you provide your bank account details so that we can make the reimbursement of the expenses, the pre-financing when it's a 2-week exchanges, but also the reimbursement of the exchanges after the exchange. So if you skip that phase, then there is no way we can reimburse because we don't have your bank account details. Registration has to be completed 1 month before the exchange. And as Camille said, if you have not been contacted yet by your host country, your NCP, your tutor, or whatever, please get back to us because as Camille explained, it can be an issue in the email or something like that. Also, if you have received no link before the exchange, at the moment, it's normal, as I said, because it was not sent out. But if you have not received it by mid-April, you can also get back to us. But first, please check your spam folder because of this address. Very frequently, too frequently for us, but it happens that it goes to the spam folder. So please check your spam folder before contacting us. Now I will show you how it takes place on the exchange on the platform. So when you receive the link, you will be prompted to a web page, which is part of the exchange program platform, where you will be able to proceed to a registration. We have a video that I will show you and explain to you, and this video is available on the EJTN YouTube page. So very simple, as I said, you click on the registration link that will be sent to you, and you land on this page when you are asked to register your activity. First, you have to say that you have read the financial conditions. You indicate the start date and the start time, end date and end time. This is the information that will be given in your program that will be provided by the tutor. Very important because it has a financial impact. Then you provide the host institution. It can be a court, it can be a judicial training institution. You have a lot of information that are in gray. The information in gray is information that we have already that you don't have to fill and that we have from the application form. Then you provide the arrival date, departure date and times. And then you'll say where you have to add to tell us if you are paid if you have advanced the cost for transport and for subsistence, accommodation, etc. If so, you will be requested to provide your participants' bank account details, what I was just mentioning. In case it is your institution that has paid for your travel expenses, then you have to indicate institution in the transferred refund type, and you will have additional box where you will be requested to provide the bank account details of your institution. And last but not least, you have to provide information about your tutor. So the name, tutor email, that's the minimum. And then if relevant, the phone. And you can also provide any other comments that you may want to share with us at this stage. And then you simply click on register to activity. And here it is, you have registered and you will receive also confirmation of this registration via email. So as I said, this video is available on the EJTN's YouTube account. So you can also have a look at it and watch it again. Now, once you have registered, you prepare, and here we go. We are on the exchange day. You go on exchange, you meet with your colleagues, exchange with your peers, and then you come back and you have also some requirements, post-participation requirements to proceed to. So after the exchange, you will be requested, we already mentioned, to provide all of the documents that are needed to be reimbursed of your expenses, but you will be also asked to report on your experience, to tell us what happened, and to give us a bit of a feedback on your experience. So as I said, the reporting phase, this is also happening on the exchange program platform. So you will receive a link that will be sent also by the exchange program team, where you will be invited to proceed to your post-participation requirements on the exchange program platform. When clicking on the link, you will be prompted on the exchange program on the page where you will be requested to proceed to those steps. And we will give you afterwards. You will see a screenshot on what the page looks like. So first of all, the reporting, you have to complete an online evaluation form, a survey, and also you will have to submit an online report where you will have questions you will be asked to write more information about the best practices you may have observed, and also about your experience in general. And then the reimbursement area. Here you will be asked to complete the online reimbursement form. In the 1 week exchanges, you will be asked to fill in the table of statement of cost, where you will have to provide information about your flights or train tickets, or all of because as mentioned by Camille, travel expenses are reimbursed for 1 week exchanges. So the proof, the evidence that is requested is the evidence of the travel. For 2 weeks, travel evidence, travel is not reimbursed, it is comprised in the per diem. So the evidence here that is requested is a certificate of participation that will be provided by your tutor or your national contact point. And then also very important, as Camille already said, you will have to upload the agenda, your agenda at this stage. And if applicable, also Camille mentioned some situations where you can ask for reimbursement for an exception. Then if applicable, this is the time when you have to upload your request for exception. And I will now pass the floor to Camille again, who will walk you through the reimbursement steps in details.
Thanks, Aude. So I already mentioned we have two different lengths of exchanges. Here we're gonna talk first about the 3 to 5 working day, 1 week. I would assume that the platform is still quite easy to understand, but it's a way to show you in advance how it will look like. You will first have a table where you will need to give a line for each segment of transport. If you took a plane, then a train, you have one line for the plane, one line for the train with different fields, and you must upload a document per line. Maybe just taking the occasion to mention also for the car, of course you have no ticket, but you have to upload a journey from the Google Map extract. And in case you have to upload something on the platform when you want to justify a cost. So here again, read the financial conditions. Second step, you will have to complete is to upload the program. At some point you will get it. If you don't upload the program, of course, you cannot click to the save and submit. So upload the program. Then, if needed, you will have a place where to upload the exception form. We still allow a place where to upload any additional document if you have a doubt, but it's quite clear there should not be. You must confirm that the data you are uploading there is correct and save the section. Quite easy. Here, maybe a quick mention about the document that we need for the financial reimbursement. So here again, for 1 week, for 3 to 5 days, we need the boarding passes. Why? Because, of course, auditing system, we need to receive a copy of the document that you use to travel. Otherwise, it's too easy just to give us an invoice and say, please reimburse me. We need the boarding passes. And when we talk about a boarding pass, this is this type of document. Maybe it's going to be easy for some of you, but every year we have issue with that, so that's why we insist on it. But basically, the document where you have the barcode that has been used for the transport, where we see your name, we see the segment of transport that was used, and eventually the time or the date. Here it's a plain boarding pass. Train ticket would be the same system. We need the ticket. We need the document that was used during the journey. And here I really need to insist for those of you who are using mobile apps, make screenshot, please. Because for some companies, you keep a copy of the ticket, but some other, when the plane or when the train arrives, the ticket disappears. And it's catastrophic for us because we're gonna ask again and ask again for proof that you are indeed in this transport. We will need a copy of the train ticket. And sometimes, well, you know, the reputation of Ryanair, for instance, it's really complicated to get it afterwards. So make screenshots, save copies, print your plane ticket before taking the plane, like old style, maybe, I don't know, but be careful about that. Otherwise, there might be issue with your reimbursement. And here, maybe also to re-insist on it, a small mention for notably the French colleagues who would be online, pour les Français qui sont dans la Réunion. A mention that there is always problem with SNCF because The train ticket disappear from the app as soon as it's used. And every time it's problematic, we have people that were not reimbursed. So pay attention about that. Maybe it's the only thing that I will ask you to keep in mind after this webinar. Keep copies of your documents. And then we have those for 10 working days or 2 weeks. Here, relax. You don't need to upload your boarding pass. Feel less stressed if you want. But still, as I mentioned earlier, we still ask you to keep a copy of the document. So, yeah, here, it's going to be slightly easier because since we don't reimburse the transport, we want that the person that hosted you in the country gives you a certificate of attendance, and we will calculate the per diem based on this certificate. They don't send it to EGTN. It has to be sent to you and you upload it because you are responsible for your reimbursement. And without this document, you cannot proceed to the final payment of 30%. So insist with your tutor to get this document. And then, same logic, you upload the agenda, eventually exception form, and you save the platform. To give you also a bit of information, so you have to submit all your reimbursement reporting and reimbursement step within 1 month after the exchange. Here you will also receive a new link, like the registration one, after your exchange to complete those steps. And then EGTN proceed with the reimbursements within 2 months after reception of the complete file, meaning that 2 months after you uploaded the document, maximum you will receive the money. Sometimes it's earlier. It may happen. So if you don't receive anything by 2 months, sometimes check your bank account because the money can already be there for a long time. It really depends because all files are treating independently. Also mentioning that even if you're part of the same group, maybe someone will receive the money before, maybe someone later. It really depends when we treat the file. So don't be afraid if someone has the money and you don't have anything within 1 week. The file is ongoing. The most important is for you, 2 months after you submitted the document, then you can come back to us and say, this is strange, I have not received any money. There might be an issue with your file, there might be a document missing, but in theory, it should be quite smooth. The steps are there to help you and to help us to have all the documents in time. Also to mention that we send us an EGTN certificate of participation at the end of the year. If you need it earlier, send us a quick email and we will send it to you. But for everyone, we send everyone, yes, by the end of the year. After all those steps, you have completed an EGTN page. So just a quick wrap up of my colleagues, like the most important information that you need to keep in mind, in addition to keep your boarding passes. This is my addition. 1 month. Why? Because you have to register 1 month before the exchange and you have to submit your document maximum 1 month after your exchange. So the 1 month deadline is quite important. Of course, the program, don't forget to ask for it. Don't forget to build a nice program if you have an individual tutor. For the group exchanges, we know that the tutor, the NCP or the tutor are used to that, and they usually build a very nice program. And of course, read the financial conditions. On that point, yes, we're gonna soon open the Q&A session. Just before finalizing, don't forget if you have any questions or any specific case you would like to report to us, please send an email to exchangeprogram@egtn.eu. And maybe a quick advertisement because there is a call for application coming soon related to study visits for the second semester of 2024. Since you're participating in an exchange, maybe you will not be selected also for a study visit, but you can always talk to your colleagues and inform them about all the opportunity for EGTN and the study visit of the exchange program. And maybe also a small line about the lunchtime webinars, a format similar like this webinar, 1 hour, 1 expert. Here registration is also open, so EGTN is still promoting activities. You can follow us on social media, you can follow us on EGTN website. We are working hard to improve our communication and make sure that everyone is aware about our opportunities. So follow us. Even on YouTube now. This is it from the advertisement moment. I think the colleagues will join me with the Q&A session. Maybe just take a second to put the camera on all the colleagues. And maybe also mentioning that we have our colleague Flavio, who was there all the time, helping us with the technical settings of this meeting. And he will basically read the question that you asked us during the presentation. So give me a second, I will disappear and come back. Yes, we were all there the whole time. Sorry for this moment, and here you can see Flavio on the side. No, other way. Here we are. It will be a bit nicer to see us all together during this session rather than individuals.
Thank you all for the participants for asking questions in the Q&A. We still encourage to do so since we have quite some time until 1 p.m. Central European time. So let's start with the questions. Most of them were about the financial conditions. But the first one says, hello, I just confirmed the date for an exchange starting the 15th of April. Am I still on time to register? It is a 4 days exchange for judicial leaders.
Well, thank you for this question. Yes, you're still on time. Do it as soon as possible. That would be the best. But yes, you do it now. And if someone in the room has also an exchange coming in April or May and still haven't received any registration link, please send us a quick email because we are in the deadline now, so hurry up.
Yeah, just also maybe to add, for judicial leaders, there is no prepayment because it's a 3 to 5 days exchange. It's in your case 4-day exchange. So that means that even if you register only now, so which is after 1 month before the exchange, there is no impact on your pre-financing because there is no pre-financing. But please do so as soon as possible because also for us, it is good that we can follow the exchanges. So thank you.
Another question about the prepayment and says, does the prepayment include flight or transport costs or only per diem? How much is the paid amount of per diem?
If there is a prepayment, it means that it's a 10 days exchange. And for a 10-day exchange, we don't reimburse transport. So only the per diem will be paid in the end after the exchange. You will not be reimbursed for your transport, but you get a slightly higher per diem, which is paid also for the weekend, which is not the case for another exchange. How much money? It's 70% of the expected per diem for the 2 weeks. So in the financial condition, there is a table with all the different amount per country. Don't know it by heart, so please refer to that table. You have 10 working days, so you know a bit about the money that will be given to you, and you will receive 70% of this amount.
Could you please confirm whether filling out an exception form is required when the exchange starts precisely at 10?
So any exception, exception request form has to be filled in if to ask any exception. So if you are not able to reach the venue to start the exchange at 10, then yes, you have to fill in an exception to prove that you were not able to reach the venue at the time of the exchange. And if you are able to reach the venue to start the exchange at 10, then there is no exception to be requested. But the exception is to be granted the night prior to the exchange. So in that case, yeah. And the easiest would be to start the exchange before 10. So I don't know if this is something that you can agree with your tutor, But if your exchange starts at 9:45, then you don't have to, or 9:30, then you don't have to justify anything, because we assume that you are not able to arrive, that you on the day of the exchange. Want to add anything? No.
Thank you. Another common question, quite recurrent, is if I fly from a city other than my own, does the EJTN covers the cost of parking the car for the days I had to leave it at the airport?
No, all the what we call local costs, which is not the distance, but the cost that you have in a city, for instance, is covered by the per diem. So in this case, parking to an airport is not included. Then, if you need to take the car and drive 100 kilometers to go to the airport, this can be considered as car transport, and you can ask for the refund for this segment of transport. Here, you need to upload notably a Google map or any itinerary showing your hometown, the airport, 100 kilometers, and you can add that to your claim. It's still within the 500 euros ceiling. So here again, for 1 week exchanges. This can be done. Also, if train is a long distance train, in every country, the distance depends. You can also ask for, since it's part of your journey to reach the location, it can also be part of the 500. But for instance, a train between the airport and the big city next to the airport will not count. It will be a local cost. In this kind of cost, if you have a doubt, here I would say upload them, but don't be surprised if you are not reimbursed for a €5 tickets to go to the airport, to the city center. This will not be, this is not a cost. And yes, and we said also parking is not part of it.
Thanks, Camille. Another question says, Dear EJTN colleagues, I didn't receive any confirmation letter, although I've been contacted by my host. I applied for judicial leader exchanges. What should I do?
So you were contacted, you were contacted already, but did not receive official confirmation about the dates. Then I suppose that you can get back to your to the person who has contacted you, and agree on the dates, or ask confirmation for the dates. I don't know exactly what was the content of the contact that you had. If it's, for example, you have received a contact from a national contact point who is telling you, okay, we are looking for a tutor for you, and you will receive the information about the tutor, and you will, so that you can contact the tutor. Then you have to wait for them to get back to you with the name of the tutor. If they already give you information about the dates, for example, asking you about the dates, you simply confirm. I don't know exactly what is the nature and the content of the email, of the communication that you have received. But now that you have been contacted, you can just simply get in touch with the person who has contacted you to really arrange the exchange and agree on dates, so that and get the confirmation about the dates and the place, I assume, so that you can after you have this you have agreed on this, or you have the confirmation of the dates, you can register.
Thanks, Aude. Another participant would like to know, exchange starts late in the morning, but he has no means to arrive in the country of exchange the same morning, because he would arrive too late. So he booked a flight for the day before. Will he get the additional per diem for the extra night?
So for this is what I explained earlier. For this, you have to ask for an exception. You have to ask for the exception after the exchange. You fill in the exception form. This type of situation is foreseen. So you have different types of situations foreseen. This one is foreseen. And in this exception form, you have to give the proof, to make proof that you were not able to reach the venue on time. So you have to provide screenshots of flights, of the unavailability of flights to arrive on time for the beginning of the exchange.
Is it possible to add a vacation to the exchange and fly back to my country, to my home country a week later? Will the return flight costs be reimbursed?
If you're in a 2-week exchange situation, here we don't ask for any information for the transport. You can do it. For a 1-week exchange, this situation will require an exception form because once again, we are working with public money, we have strict audits, and we are supposed to pay for the period of the exchange. We are not supposed to pay for your holidays. But still, indeed, it's the return of the exchange. So in this case, we will need an exception form, and you will need to prove that the flight you want to take, including your holidays, is not more expensive than the one you should have taken the day after the exchange. In this case, for instance, you're supposed to finish the exchange on Friday at 3. There is a flight Friday at 6. You want to stay longer until Wednesday. You will need to show us that the flight on Wednesday that you want to take is same price or cheaper than the one on Friday. In case it's more expensive, we will reimburse you on the basis on the Friday flight. So important that we have the exception and that you compare the two prices. And of course, we have to reimburse on the most cost-effective flight.
Thank you, Camille. Then I gathered a couple of questions on the agendas of the exchanges, and participants ask, where can they find the template agenda? Do the recommendations contain substantive legal activities to include in a program? So general recommendations. And may you explain better how agenda must be filled? Thank you very much.
Thanks. The template has not been shared yet, so you cannot find it anywhere, but it will be sent with the follow-up email of this webinar. It's a template, it's not mandatory. If you want to use another format, add a heading of courts, whatsoever, it's not an issue. The template is really here to help and support. And how to fill it? It's a table with days, with dates, with information about the location. Well, it's on the how to fill in the template. Don't be afraid. It's rather easy. And we already talked about the idea of starting at 9:30, 9:45 instead of 10. Nicely indicated also in the template. When it comes to the content of the exchange and what can be added inside, I would recommend you to read the guidelines that are now they are on the website right now. They've been added yesterday, so they are not advertised. But if you go to the EGTN website, General Specialized Leader Exchange, you will find the guideline there. And you have a section dedicated to the best practices for judicial activities with potential activity you can do. Just talking a bit like this, usually the most common activity are one related to the court. So presentation about the judicial system of the host country, visit to court, prosecution offices, attendance of hearings, discussing a bit further with tutors about cases they had recently, maybe cases that they had with your country, and so you can exchange a bit on that point. We also include in our best practices visit to judicial institutions of the countries. Can be constitutional court, court of appeal, different judicial institution of the countries. Sometimes when the exchange is in the capital city, you can also have Directorate for Anti-Corruption, institution related to international cooperation. If there are international institutions in the country, you can also try to visit them on that occasion. Political presentation can also be added. Visiting a parliament, meeting with representative of Ministry of Justice. These are the kind of activities that can be organized rather for group than individual exchange, but it is possible. And then we also invite to have a broader view on the judicial world of the country. For instance, meeting with civil society, with lawyers, attorneys, policemen, if possible, court prosecution office, visiting each other. These are the kind of activity that we would advertise. For individual exchange where you're really just alone with a tutor, we know that you cannot have such a broad choice of activities, so it would rather be following and shadowing a tutor in his or her daily work. On that one, maybe also to mention that the tutor is the person in charge of the coordination of the exchange, of the person who is supposed to welcome you. But we are not expecting all the time the tutor to follow you every day. Sometimes the tutor can just say, okay, today you will visit my colleague and you will spend a day with the colleague. This is completely accepted as long as it's added to the agenda. That was a long reply, but it gives you a bit of idea of what's expecting. And the guideline will also be added to the follow-up email to this webinar.
Thank you, Camille. That was a very precise and comprehensive reply. Next participant asks, good morning. I would like to ask if the time of the exchange is fixed or can be discussed between me and the host institution to find a suitable solution. Arlette, would you like to reply to this one?
Yes, so the time of the exchange can always be discussed with your tutor or your host. So it's not fixed. It's obviously a teamwork. So you can always discuss the time and the details and even the program, as my colleague Camille said, of your exchange.
Thanks, Arlette. Another participant asked a quite important question saying, would you send us the recording of this webinar? It is very useful. And as my colleague Aude mentioned, the webinar is being recorded by us. Participants cannot record the webinar, and we will upload it on YouTube. So it will be available to rewatch for everyone. Just look for the EJTN YouTube account and you'll find all videos related to our activities. Dear EJTN team, could you please show a report form as you showed the reimbursement one? Thank you. This requires a little bit of preparation, so maybe we continue with another question. What happens if the registration is not completed within 1 month before the exchange?
I can reply to this one. So it depends again if you are taking part in a 2-week exchanges, so 10 working days, or 1 week or less than 1 week. In the case of 2-week exchanges, you have a pre-financing amount. So in case we don't receive the registration form 1 month before, there is a risk that you will not receive the pre-financing before the exchange, because it requires a bit of time, of course, internally to proceed to the pre-funding. In the case of a 1 week or less exchange, then there is less impact. Because then there is no risk that you won't receive a pre-financing because there is no pre-financing. However, this is for us good practice that we would like to provide information as soon as possible, and this is why we have set this deadline of 1 month. But concretely, I mean, there is nothing that really happens if there is no financial implication before, but this is for us to be aware, and also remember that if you do not register, let's say, I don't know, you forget, because this happens, this is why I'm saying that we are informed about the dates of the exchanges only after. And then if you do not register, then we don't have your bank account details, then we cannot proceed to the reimbursement. So this registration phase, even though there is no financial impact linked to the pre-financing, is very important for us, because it is at this moment that we are informed here about the dates of the exchanges, and that we receive your bank account details, because at the post-exchange phase, you are not requested to provide your bank account details.
Thanks, Aude. Can we proceed with the showing the report?
Yes.
right? So this relates to the question of a participant who, participant in the webinar, who asked if we could show the report that all participants to our exchange receive after the activity and before proceeding to the reimbursement form.
Yes, indeed. So here is an example of report section. So before the report, you will have a survey. I'm not going to show you because it's a survey, and if I'm on the page, I have to reply to the survey before submit. It's showing you the report. So it's a survey, nothing special. So this is how the report will look like as of this year. So maybe for those who already participated, there was a question of an uploaded report, which does not exist anymore. Now you will have to complete this report section. So first there will be your indication. And then this easy online report, only 3 questions to explain related to your exchange. So already showing you that you can increase the segment because it might be a bit too small. First question about the best practices that you gather during your exchange. What best practice of the host country you discover? How is it in your own country? Why do you want to advertise this section? You see also that there is a minimum length of reply. It's not just a yes and no, that would be too easy. Let's be honest, if EGTN is funding you for a 1 week or a 2 week exchange, we still want to know what you learned from this experience. So this is why we're expecting you to have this moment of reflection and give a reply that shows the involvement that you put in the preparation of the exchange. So first question about the best practices, and second question about the benefits and the follow-up of the exchange. So what did you learn? What would you justify as a benefit of this exchange? And how are you gonna use it in the short term, in the long term, and share it maybe with the colleagues? We hope that as a participant in an exchange, you will get a better awareness and mutual understanding about Europe. And we hope that you can share also that when you are back in your court with your colleagues. And last question, conceptual one, I would say, but common to EGTN activities. What is the EU added value of this exchange? The European dimension of your exchange, how would you describe that? What you learn, but on a European perspective of the exchange, not only the host country, but the broader European view of this exchange. These are the questions that will be asked. If you don't put the minimum length, of course, it will be refused. And we will have a look at it. And in case your reply is a bit, maybe not specific, we might come back to you and ask for further information. This report will be accessible by your host country and by your sending country, because we know that for some of you, it's a requirement that you share also this report at national level. And maybe also worth mentioning that what you write in this report will also be attached in a PDF with the feedback email that you will receive after completing the reimbursed area. So when everything is completed, you receive an automatic email. Thank you for completing, well received. You will hear from us within 2 months. In attachment, you will have a PDF with your replies. So if you have to share it with your court president, for instance, you will have a copy of it. Do you want to add anything?
No, I just wanted to mention that, so this is the report, but part of the reporting is also the survey, as Camille mentioned. So before that, there is a feedback survey to complete with all sorts of questions and it rather, with a scaling system where you have to rate from 1 to 5. So the reporting, it takes place in 2 phases. So the feedback survey with no open questions, let's say, less closed questions, rather on the organization, etc., and suggestions to make, etc. And then after the reporting, which is indeed more of a not introspection, but reflection moment for you to really tell us more about the practices that you have observed and compare maybe with your own judicial system. So it really takes place in those two phases.
Thank you, Aude and Camille. Let's continue with another participant asking about the travel by car, which is a quite common question. And before addressing this one, I would like to remind all the participants, only the people interested that that are asking about financial questions, that we have the financial conditions for each activity that are always sent to the participants. They are also available on the EJTN website. We have as well the FAQ, frequently asked questions, which address those particular precise questions asked by participants. Finally, also the exception form includes some information on and instructions on how to fill it out and where you can find the information. Now let's go on with this participant asking, good morning. If I understood correctly, when I go to the 1 week exchange by car, I should present a Google map for the route. Do I need to attach a fuel invoice?
Thanks, Flavio. To reply to this question and to link to your right comment, maybe I'm going to share it with you on the website where to find the condition in case you lost the email or you still want to have a look at it. And I will show you exactly the extract about the car transport. So, welcome to the very nice EJTN website. Where you can have, yes, all our news and the IDs. So in the exchange section, you have a different activity. So you're taking part in an exchange, and maybe you're taking part in a specialized exchange. Here, if you go down, of course, presentation and a useful document, you will find the financial conditions, but also the guideline I was mentioning earlier. So maybe after replying to this question, I will show you quickly the guidelines. So on the financial conditions, you have a single document for exchanges lasting up to 5 working days and exchange for up to 10 working days. The question the participant is referring to is about car, meaning that it's for a 1 week exchange, a 5 working day exchange. So let's go there. And here you have the different, so page 7. What is requested by different mode of transport. So by plane, by train or bus, by car. If you travel by car, here it is. I don't know if I highlight, you will see it. Might be harder to read, so I will not do that. So if you travel by car, we need an itinerary map showing the journey from your place or your court to the destination you're going to, maybe the exchange. Worth mentioning that there is a limitation about the distance. So it's maximum 1,200 kilometers for the return. So 600 kilometers one way. Here, concretely speaking, it means that if the destination is too far, maybe take transport rather than car because there is a ceiling on the reimbursement. So basically, yeah, and then you have it 22 cents per kilometer. So I think in total you can be up to 264 euros for car transport. So you see, all the information is in the financial conditions. Did I reply?
Thank you, Camille. Absolutely, that was very clear. I hope.
Maybe before moving to the next question, I will show you the guidelines. So here also, let's go back to the EJTN website. Once again, why not? Still taking part in a specialized exchange, but it's the same document everywhere. You have a brand new guidelines that have been uploaded on the website. This document is a kind of repetition of the webinar that we had today. No, more details, I agree. Much more details. Otherwise, we would have a 5-hour webinar. But well, we did it the shortest way. So we have the actors, the information about the program, actors that were presented by Arlette, the objectives of the exchanges, because professional activity. So it's nice that you have a look at it just to see in which framework this activity is organized. And a bit further, so yes, for trainers exchanges, there is a specific rationale behind this project. So it's slightly different. And then we move to page 8 with the different best practices for exchanges and ideas of activity that can be organized. So this is where you can get idea to add to your agenda. I'm not gonna go through the whole document, but you are really invited to have a look at it, and it will be sent with the follow-up email. This is it for this introduction. Sorry, Flavio, for stealing the floor.
That's totally fine and informative and useful for the participants. Hi, I have confirmed the dates of my exchange with my tutor and received the registration link, but we haven't finalized the program yet, so I don't know the start time. Since the exchange starts in less than 4 weeks, should I register without knowing the start time, waiting for the registration, or should I just enter any start time and correct it after?
Ideally, we would prefer the real time, because of course you can imagine that if you indicate that, oh, it starts at 9 to get the night before, then in the end it's rather 10:30, it might have an issue. Ideally, I would tell you first step, try to ask your tutor if you can at least confirm the start time and end time on Friday. Because this is what you need to book your tickets. Ideally, do the registration while booking your ticket, so you know exactly your arrival and departure date. Yeah, try not to make any fake information. I know it's tempting, notably for those of you who will have an exchange in October, November, so you're like, oh yeah, okay, it's done. But then it makes the calculation more complicated. We can miss. If you indicated that it starts at 10, it starts at 9, we might miss the per diem additional because the wrong information was entered. So we have to tell you that be careful with this kind of information. Ask just for the confirmation start time, end time, and for the rest of the program, it can wait a bit later.
Thanks, Camille. Good morning. I would like a confirmation that all documents, including boarding passes, exception form, and various receipts, should be uploaded after the completion of the exchange. Is that correct?
Yes, so all documents should be uploaded after the completion of the exchange during the reimbursement process.
Would you also like to say what is needed for a 5 days and a 10 days exchange?
Can do that. So indeed, as I mentioned earlier, for a 5-day or less than 5-day exchange, you have to provide evidence of your travel. Only of the travel. We don't need evidence of your accommodation or meals, receipts, etc. It's only of the travel. So as I mentioned, it can be flights, it can be train, it can be car, all of the different documents that are requested depending on the mode of transport, as Camille showed, are detailed in the financial conditions that are available on our website. This is for the exchange of 5 days or less, but for all of the exchange of 10 days, travel expenses or the reimbursement of travel expenses is included in the per diem that we provide, which is a bit higher. It's an accrued per diem, so we consider that it covers also the travel cost. And then the evidence that we ask you to provide and to upload on the exchange program platform is the certificate of participation.
and the agenda as well. Always. The agenda is always now also something that will require documents that you have to upload on the Exchange Program platform.
Thanks, Aude. Dear EJTN, in your emails, it is said that the exchange must be finished before 15th November. My exchange, however, will be done after that date. Is that okay for you?
On that one, so if it is a group exchange, it's possible that the national contact point already asked for an exception and to organize it after 15 November. So for a group exchange, it's up to the tutor to, everyone received the information. It's up to the tutor to make sure that they got our green light. If it's an individual exchange, you need to ask us the green light. Because with the end of the year, it makes all financial situation problematic. All file must be completed and closed by 31st of December. This is why we impose that deadline. So here we need to make sure that the exchanges are finalized. If really you can ensure to us that there is no other date, give us the arguments and we will tell you if we can indeed accept to have it later than 15 November. Otherwise, do it before, please.
Thanks, Camille. Another question is, this one is for Arlette. Will there be a link that will be sent to us for 5 days exchange after the program in order to complete the reimbursement form?
Yes, so you always receive from us a reimbursement link after you completed your exchange. So it's totally normal if you don't have it before, it's always after the exchange.
Another participant asking, how can I apply for participating in an exchange?
Okay, I can reply to that. So it depends what type of exchanges. As Arlette mentioned earlier this morning, we have different types of exchanges. So in the case of what we call the exchanges, which comprises the general exchanges, the specialized exchanges, the trainers exchanges, exchanges for judicial leaders, as well as the bilateral exchanges, then the call for application is always launched on the 1st of September, or if the 1st of September is a holiday, then on the first working day in September, and it ends on the 15th of October, or always, mid-October, let's say. So in that case, for this year, the call has been launched already, and normally you are participant in these exchanges, and you should have, the application phase for this is already closed. Now there are still opportunities to take part in exchanges this year and to apply this year. This is another type of exchange which we are calling project-based exchanges. What are project-based exchanges? Project-based exchanges are exchanges where you take the initiative to build your exchange yourself at the moment of applying. So you come with a project. That means that you have identified a counterpart with whom you would like to do the exchange in another country. And also you have to have, of course, a justification of the exchange motivations. You have to explain what you want to discuss, what is the exchange for. You have to provide a whole project at the time of applying. So the call for applications for these exchanges, which comprise Judicial Learning Grant Program and regional exchanges, is open all year long. So that means that you can apply whenever, but you have to provide a lot of information and you have to organize your exchange or to build your exchange yourself when applying. And as already also Camille advertised, there is also another call for applications coming up, but not for exchanges, for study visits. The call for application will be launched on the 15th of April. And this is for study visits that will take place in the second semester. So if you would like to sum up, if you would like to apply for general exchanges, specialized exchanges, leaders exchanges, trainers exchanges, bilateral exchanges, you have to wait until September to apply for exchange that will take place in 2025. If you would like to build your own project and you have an idea to build an exchange, you have a counterpart with whom you would like to do an exchange, then you can submit a project under either the Judicial Learning Grant Program or the regional exchanges. Regional exchanges, there is the constraint that, as the name says, it has to be regional. So there is a constraint that you have to, the court, your court and the court in the host country you have to be located 150 kilometers from the border. Each court has to be located 150 kilometers from the border. So that's the constraint. I think that's it. Or maybe you want to add something?
May I add a dimension to the question about applying? If you're there today, it means that you've been selected to one of our activity, and also to specify that the pre-selection of candidates is left to the EGTN national member. It's not EGTN doing the selection. We do the allocation when we have all the countries and we dispatch you, but the selection is always made at national level. So sometimes we can advertise the fact that there are call for applications coming, but please pay attention to the national rules that are also applied with participation. For instance, in many countries, you can only attend one EGTN activity per year or one exchange program activity per year. So please pay attention also to the information shared by your national training institution.
Thanks, Camille and Aude. Another question says, hello, thanks for this very informative webinar. My question is, if there is no direct flight, is it possible to stay one night in another country? And this is a very recurrent question. And again, one of those typical cases where we include something in our FAQ. So again, we encourage you to read those. And the answer is that stopovers are possible, but are not covered by us, in the sense that we do not cover per diem or the both segments of the trip if you stay one night in another country, but we will only cover the segment going from the country where you stopped until the country of exchange. Next question. Dear EJTN, I have a 2-week exchange in July. I understand that because transport is not reimbursed, it is not a problem to arrive earlier. But do I have to note down the travel dates when registering? So I guess here the question is, when registering, should I include the date of my exchange or of my trip or my travel?
In the registration form, you have two fields to complete. One is the exchange date, here the 2 week of exchange, and another field is the date of travel, arrival date, departure date. Here, please put the real one. In case we have an audit, the tickets that you can show us to prove that you indeed travel. So yes, but it's separated, it's two different fields, so it should not be an issue.
Thanks, Camille. I read in the FAQ that exceptions are possible. Like, for instance, we can take a flight later back home or earlier. How do I arrange that? Do we ask for exception before and book afterwards?
So maybe I can reply to this one. Exception requests always have to be made after the exchange. So you have the exception form. You see what are the situations that open way to exceptions, but they have to be submitted after the exchange. The thing is that you have to prepare them before, because in order to request for your exception, you will have to provide screenshots, in case of unavailability of flight, or in case you want to prove that the flight that you are taking is not more expensive than the flight that you should have taken, as Camille was explaining. So you have to prepare your your request for exceptions while proceeding to your bookings, but you submit it after the exchange through the exchange program platform at the post-exchange reimbursement process phase.
Thanks, Aude. What the tutor needs to do if participant does not participate in the full program? Is there a list of attendance to be signed every day?
If I understand correctly, the question comes from a tutor where the participant does not want to attend a full week of activities. If that's correct.
If the question is whether there is any action to be taken from the tutor himself, or if there is a list of participants, if the participant has to attend the whole exchange, the whole activity.
So the per diem is given per days of attendance of the training activities. So of course, if a participant does not show up to one of the days, no per diem. We have to be informed. So here, sorry, but we will have the tutor to inform us. It happened last year, for instance, of a participant that was sick during in the middle of the exchange. If you want to justify the funding, we will need a medical certificate from the doctor, of course, of the country, because you were so sick that you could not attend the exchange. So of course you go to the doctor and you ask for a certificate. Here, the finance unit will assess if the cost can be covered or not. Otherwise, if there is a day you don't attend the exchange, you are not getting paid. It also counts if this day at the end of the exchange, if you have to leave one day earlier, of course, the per diem will be deducted from the total amount we owe you. For 2-week exchanges, there is a certificate of attendance. So the tutor will have, in any case, to indicate your dates of presence. For 1-week exchanges, there is not such a certificate, but still the calculation is made on days of presence. So if you're not there for 1 day, we will deduct it.
Thanks, Camille. Another question still on logistics or better financial conditions. A participant asks, dear colleagues, looks like I will have to use a combined way of traveling to the place of my exchange. I will have to travel by plane and then takes another means of transport. Will I have to use, how does it work with the financial conditions? The answer is that it is possible to combine different means of travel, most commonly a flight and then a train to get in the country or the city of in the country of exchange, and in that case, EJTN does reimburse the combined travel within the threshold of 500 for a round. As far as I understand, for 5 days exchanges, is the total amount of per diem also paid after the exchange?
So yes, so for the 5 days exchange, there is no pre-financing, so it's the total amount is paid after the exchange.
Indeed, so the totality of the reimbursement, the participants in the 5 days exchange can expect only one reimbursement after the activity. Thanks, Arlette. If the exchange is in Finland and the transport cost will be higher than 500 euro, what could I do?
Then you have, this is typically a ground for a request for an exception, as I think Camille mentioned earlier. Any travel that is over the limit of 500 euro, and if you would like to receive payment for the rest, then it has to be, you have to submit a request for exception. Again, this situation is foreseen in the exception request form, and you have also to provide proof that indeed there is no cheaper flight for the days of travel.
Thanks, Aude. In an individual exchange, can the program start on Monday afternoon, or does it have to start on Monday morning? If it starts in the afternoon, can I arrive in the morning?
Yes, indeed, of course. We recommend that the exchange start before 10 a.m. because of this additional per diem, but if it starts in the afternoon, you have no other choice, no problem. But then you cannot be granted the per diem for the night before unless you justify that it's impossible to travel. But if you if the exchange starts at 2 in the afternoon, of course, it's not a problem to travel in the morning.
Thanks. As an island resident and consequently in need of providing a connecting flight from the island to the mainland, what kind of conditions of reimbursement can I expect from EJTN regarding flight costs? Arlette, would you like to?
Yes, so it's a typical grant for an exception form, and it's a foreseen a case in the exception form. So the all island residents can ask for an exception, and you will be reimbursed. And I think the amount it's up to 800 euro. So it depends. So you have to fill the exception form, but of course it's a foreseen case.
Maybe here to specify when we talk about 800 euros, it's not a full reimbursement per ceiling.
Yeah.
So it's not your flight is 750. You don't get 250. You will get specific ceiling which are in the document. So everything is written down. Afterwards, don't claim saying I didn't know. It's part of the document that you will have to complete. So you are aware of this specific situation.
Thanks. Thank you, ladies. What about the accommodation? Should I book somewhere or will it be made by you? Thank you for your answer.
As I said during my presentation, you are responsible for your booking. So your tutor or your national contact point can make some suggestion, but you are totally responsible for your booking. So you are totally free to book whenever you prefer.
Thank you. Thank you, Arlette. I have received the host confirmation dates. May I book flights?
Yes. And well, I mean, you know, it works. The earlier, the better. As long as you are sure that the dates are confirmed for you, for your host, you can go ahead. Maybe it's something we did not mention yet regarding cancellations, because of course it happens. It's also clearly stated in the financial condition that we do not reimburse anything in case of cancellation. Keep it in mind. Because if you're sick 2 days before the exchange, you cannot ask us for the reimbursement of your transport. Yes, pay attention to that. You're responsible for all your bookings, and we pay if you attend the exchange. This is as simple as it is.
Thank you, Camille. I know we have already answered to this question, but many participants have asked again regarding arriving or leaving earlier or later after the exchange. They ask what is needed in practical terms when the booking and the request for exception should be compiled and sent to EJTN. So I will. You could again give a comprehensive overview of a participant who requires to leave or stay in the country more.
Maybe I'm going to take this occasion to show the exception form, which was not foreseen because exceptional situation, but apparently there are a lot of questions about it. And I see that my computer is going to be low on battery soon, so I will try to hurry up. So you can find on the EJTN website this FAQ section, and you will have here the exception request form. It's over there, but apparently there is no. So this exception form, did it open? No, because it was downloaded. It is a Word document. Here we are. So this is a common document for all EJTN activities. And easy thing, you have instruction about the different parts that has to be completed depending on your type of exception. Information about you, about the activity you're taking part, start time and time. And here is the very interesting section. about the exception you're claiming for.
Excuse me, Camille, can you,
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
we don't
I'm not
show
showing
the document.
the right section. I apologize. It was nice on my screen. Up. Here we are. So this is a very long but easy Word document with all the instructions that are needed to complete it. So participation information, activity information. And then on the second page, you have the list of the different exceptions that can be requested. Travel cost over 500 euros, per diem for the night before the activity, exceptionally for the activity that starts as of 10 in the morning. Full per diem for the last day of activity. It's also an exception if you cannot find a flight for the last day. The last day is always half a per diem. And if you cannot travel on Friday, you can always to be justified. Additional per diem, if really you cannot make it with the per diem, you need to justify it. Traveling from or to a country or different city than your place of residence. Here, it will be the cheaper flight that will be reimbursed. And traveling before or after the activity and not on the date. You see that there are sections, A, B, C, D, E, F. And in the document, you have the different section there. For instance, I'm going to ask to travel from a different country or a different city, section E. You just complete the section by putting screenshot of the document justifying your request. For instance, well, this is my holidays and please, I would like to stay a bit, I would like to go to another place. You have to give a screenshot from any air comparator or different travel agency showing the different price. And we will reimburse it to the basis of the least expensive options between the one you're supposed to take and the one you would like to take. Then I cannot be more precise than this unless being behind your computer and checking directly the air comparator. So all the information is there. We really improved it, made it quite intuitive. So please have a look at it.
Thank you, Camille. Indeed, for those that need to arrive or leave, arrive earlier or leave earlier because of unavailability of flights, you just need to attach screenshots using some flight simulators, for instance, Skyscanner, eDreams, or Google Flights, demonstrating that there is no available flight on that specific day and that you need to travel earlier or later after the exchange. A participant is asking when the registration form will be sent to us. My exchange will take place in September. So if you can, colleague, if you can remind the participant.
A second, please. Here we are.
Sorry, so as we said during the presentation, all of the links to a registration page, individual links will be sent by 15th of April. That means it can be before, but it's at the latest on 15th of April. So by 15th of April, you should have received it. If you have not received it again, please check your spam folder because it happens that our emails, it's coming from the email noreply@ejtn.eu. So it may be that it goes to your spam directly. So please first check your spam folder, and then if really you haven't received it, come back to us. And we will, at the end of the presentation, we will, at the webinar, we will share again our email address. Come back to us, and then we will check what could be the problem.
Thank you, Aude. More questions on how to book the exchange are coming. For instance, the participant asks, can I book my accommodation on any website or platform? Also, to book flight, do I need to use a specific travel agency, or can I buy my tickets from internet on any website? Arlette, would you like to reply to this participant.
Yes, so I see that the question was partly asked in French, so, donc je vais le dire en français. Donc, peut-on louer un logement sur n'importe quelle plateforme? Oui, comme j'ai dit durant la présentation, vous êtes responsable de de vos accommodations, donc vous pouvez réserver le billet d'avion et de logement sur n'importe quelle plateforme. And now in English, so yes, you are responsible for your accommodation, so you can book the flights and the hotel whenever you prefer. It's up to you, so you don't have to stick to any specific travel agency. You are totally free regarding the accommodation.
Thank you, Arlette. A question on 10 days exchange is coming of a participant who asks, in a 10 days exchange, does the per diem cover 12 days, hence including the weekend between the 2 weeks?
To be crystal clear, I think, I'm not completely sure, it's 11 days because the last day counts for half. So it's 11 and a half and not 12 exactly. And then there is a question whether you can benefit from the additional per diem the day before. One thing worth being mentioning, it's a general trend, and any calculation of per diem has to be confirmed by the finance unit after the exchange. So to be honest, at that stage, we cannot give you any yes or no or exact amount. You have all the information for the calculation, and finance unit will then confirm any calculation.
Thank you, Camille. I'm looking in the Q&A session because many people have left and many questions are recurrent. So I'm looking for another question that might be of general interest. Although I think we have covered the whole, the most common questions. I just would like to reiterate that. Most of the questions concerning financial conditions might be answered. You can find the information by yourself by looking at the financial conditions for the specific activity that you have received that can also be found on EJTN website. The FAQ, the frequently asked questions to the financial conditions, and eventually the exception form, which contains instructions and also references to the financial conditions that apply to your exchange. I'd also would like to say that to remind that those who joined later that the webinar is being recorded, and then that will be uploaded on YouTube, so you will have the chance to look again at both at the information shared by my colleagues and the Q&A sessions to find the replies to the participants' questions. As the questions I read are mostly personal, I would say, I will encourage the participants to, if we haven't answered to your questions, we apologize, but we have received over 200 questions and we cannot answer them all. We have had 600 participants across the whole webinar, which is incredible. It makes more than half of our participants in the exchanges in 2023. So we would like to thank you very much for attending the webinar. We hope it's been informative. And will the participants receive a feedback after the webinar?
Yeah.
Yes, you will receive a very quick survey just as a feedback of the webinar, if it was useful or not. And of course, you will receive this, but this is just after the Zoom session, so we know if there is something to be improved in this webinar. And after, can't promise you which date, but coming very soon, a follow-up email with a wrap-up of the most important information and link to the documents that have been discussed during this webinar.
Yeah. This is exactly what I wanted to say, so that's good. Maybe we can share the last slide because that we had prepared, because on this slide there is the email address of the exchange program team. exchange program at ejtn.eu. So in case you have any question that were not addressed by the webinar or that we did not address, that you cannot find in the FAQ or in the financial conditions, please do not hesitate. As Camille said, right after this session, when we close, you will receive a short survey, and we would like to ask you to take the time. It's quite short, only a few questions, but we'd like to ask you to take the time to reply to those questions, because this information webinar is the second time that we are doing it. And we hope it is useful for you, and we would like to continue with it. But of course, all of your feedback is very important for us to see how we can improve this session. So please take the time to do this. And if we have nothing to add, then it will be time to close this session. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much for being with us. We will wish you a very fruitful experience with the EJTN exchange program. And yeah, we are here for your questions if needed, and enjoy the exchange. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.